This lecture is about the history of the periodic table and the structure. The very first periodic table was arranged in the 1860s by Dmitry Mendeleev. He arranged them all of the elements in order by their mass. He was able to look that as he put them in order by mass, he could actually put them into groups or columns that they had similar chemical and physical properties. But there were some that he had to kind of flip flop where they were because their their properties went better with the row or the column next to them um, from where their mass put them in order. So he knew that there was something that needed to be done differently, and he also had to leave quite a few empty spaces because they didn't have all the elements. But with his periodic table, Mendeleev was able to um, predict the properties of germanium. And then when it was discovered, they saw that it was exactly like he said it would be. And he did that based on the order and that he had placed them in, and based on the other elements that they did know, was able to come up with what that one would be like. Henry Moseley is a man who's credited with giving the modern periodic table that we have now. It's in order by atomic number, not mass. At this point in time, they now knew about protons and electrons. And so when he put them in order by protons, then he saw that those little differences that Dmitry Mendeleev had with the masses not being in the correct order all of a sudden fell into place. So then we came up with, or they wrote down then what was called the periodic law. The periodic law then is why we call it the periodic table of elements. It's because of the similar properties that appear in regular intervals or regular periods. They show up. Our modern periodic table, we said, does go in order just as Moseley had put them in order by atomic number. And um, the ones that are in the same group or column, or we also call those families, they have similar properties. So the very last column on the periodic table is called our noble gases. And these were very difficult to discover. They were basically they were all gases, hence the name noble gases. Um, and they also don't react with other things. So they, that's how they were finding a lot of the elements were through chemical reactions. Well, these weren't reacting with anything. This is um, group 8A, starting with helium and going down to radon. This can also be called group 18 because it's in the 18th column on the periodic table. The lanthanide and actinides aren't in a column, but they are grouped all together. They're the two rows that are taken out of the periodic table. They're simply cut out from the periodic table just to save space. Put it together, shrink it down. So these are the two rows underneath the main portion of the periodic table. And the lanthanides start with, they're just named for the first elements in those rows. elements that are in the same row, they have different properties, but what everything in that period has is the same number of energy levels. Where we see the similar properties are the columns.